I'm joined here today by the one, the only, of course you know his name because you have to remember the name, Belal Muhammad, coming off the dominant performance over Stephen Thompson. What's going on, sir? How are you?
What's up, brother? Good. Just in freezing cold Chicago right now, so nothing's changed.
For sure. Listen, man, before we get started, I want to talk about your fight and everything, but we had a bunch of fights get announced, a bunch of welterweights, top five title shots and stuff, and I feel like you're kind of on the outside looking in at everybody, like, who's left for you?
I mean, there's a lot of fights that are left. There's still Khamzat who's not booked yet. I know they made the rumors, but nothing's official yet. I don't even think the title fight's official yet. Dana White says 100% all the time. So, especially in the COVID era, you never know what's going to happen. So I just got to stay ready and be ready at all points because we saw this weekend there's 4 canceled fights. So I mean, the only fight that I knew for sure was going to happen was Colby and Masvidal, just because of the history between them two. Other than that, there's really nothing else that's like cemented.
And so, I mean, is there one in particular that, like, if someone were to fall out, like, obviously, the title fight, if someone falls out, that's the one. But is there one in particular where you're like, if somebody gets injured, no matter what, I'm definitely hopping in on that one?
I mean, I think that's the only fight that's booked right now is the Masvidal fight against Covington. The other fights, none of them are booked. So, uh, uh, if you ask me who I want to pick, I would pick Khamzat to fight out of everybody left. Besides the champ, obviously, but he just has all the hype right now. He has a lot of people thinking that he's going to be champion. So, just getting through him will give me the next title shot for sure.
Is it justified? You feel the hype? Like, he came back from a long layoff. Obviously, performance was dominant. For you, you're in that division. You've had the climb. You've been doing this for years. What do you think when you see that sort of, how fast he's being pushed, even just by the fans?
I mean, that's how it happens. If you're undefeated, you go in there, you pick up a guy, you're talking with Dana White as you're picking him up. Even though as a fighter and as a martial artist, you know that Li Jingling was a terrible matchup to fight Kamzat. Like I knew that was going to happen just by looking at it. Uh, but fans, everybody, they all believe in the hype. They all believe in these new up and comers, these Russians that are killing everybody. Especially with Habib leaving now, and he kind of has like the same style. So I think that it's based off of that.
So we know in your last fight, you showed everybody. You were like, yeah, wrestling's in the toolbox. When you look at someone like Hamza, he has, the sambo, all that good stuff. How does like your wrestling compare to his wrestling?
I mean, I stack up right next to him. I don't think that his wrestling is better than mine. I think that his wrestling is he's gonna get tired a lot of the time if he tries to take these guys down. Somebody defends a takedown. I got great takedown defense, so I think stylistically he's a perfect matchup for me, and it's a perfect test for him to see where he really is. A lot of the guys he's fought, he's just taking them down pretty easily. None of them really had great grappling at all, and it's just been pretty smooth road for him. So I think he needs a tough test. He needs somebody that has takedown defense, somebody that can move on the ground with him. And I think like a fight like me or even Gilbert would be a great test for him.
And so before we get to your dominant performance over Wonder Boy, I want to talk about your show. Remember the show you guys aired last night and stuff. I've seen you hunting down these guests. Derrick Lewis, I feel like you had the right game plan coming in, getting them with the, hey man, is it cold? What's the latest with Derrick Lewis? Do you think it's going to happen, or has he just left you there?
No, I think we're close. Like you said, it's just hard hunting down fighters, and it's hard, like especially him. Like he's a hard guy. He doesn't really
Oh
do a
yeah.
lot of interviews in general, anyway. But I think we're gonna end up getting him. I think it'll be a fun show, especially with my show. It's not like the same old
Yeah.
style of interviewing or anything like that. I think fighters, once they come on the show, they're like, "Oh dang, this is actually a fun show." Like DC, it took me a while to hunt him down. Once I finally got him on there, he was like, "Dude, this show is a great idea. It's a great format." So I think that once I get him down, once it starts getting more popular, a lot of these fighters will be asking to come on the show instead of me asking them.
Who's like your dream guest? Obviously, we talked about Derrick Lewis. I know Robert Whitaker got called out last night. Is there one dream, like, I mean, maybe even like a McGregor or something, but is there one like you really wish like you could get that on the show?
Maybe like a Habib, or
Yeah.
just because he already has a fun personality. He's a fun guy, so having him on the show, or even like a Max Holloway, I think those two will be like my guess that I want to for sure keep trying until they eventually come on.
Have you tried to reach out, use your manager kind of as leverage, like, hey, Ali, can we get some of these guests? Or is there like a certain, you have to go hunt that down yourself?
Yeah, I don't want to. Like you could always have that in your back pocket, but I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy to have to. Hey, can you do me a favor? You ask, and I'm like, whatever. If they don't want to respond to my thing, they'll eventually will. They'll eventually see it, and it'll eventually come the right way. I don't want to be like, oh, Ali's making me come on the show type thing, or
Right.
Ali told me to do this as a favor, and like they don't want to do it, and then they come on the show and then it'll show. Because my show is like when somebody wants to have fun, when it's competitive, that makes it the best show. But if it's like one of those, like, hey, Ali's forced me to be here, I don't really want to be here, yada yada yada. So it'll come out, I think, and I don't want it to be that way.
So let's talk about your fight over Wonder Boy a little bit. I think a lot of people going in, they weren't sure what your game plan was going to be. We see a lot of guys come in, they're like, I'm going to kickbox with a kickboxer. You said, no, we're not doing that. What was kind of the mentality when you guys were coming up with the strategy for Stephen Thompson?
I mean, we did a whole lot of kickboxing. We did everything just because he's that guy who's been in the top 5 for so long, and he's such a great fighter, and he's good everywhere, and his style is so tricky. So we had a plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A was obviously we saw what Gilbert Burns did to him. Gilbert Burns took him down, held him down. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see where his wrestling is. Let's see if how my wrestling is. My wrestling gets underestimated a lot of the time. So I was like, let me go in there, let me feel him. The first round, let's see where he is with the grappling wise. And I felt like in the welterweight division, my grappling is at the top end of the division with all these guys. I compete with any of these guys in grappling. So I think once I figured that was working, I was like, why am I going to switch to anything else? And especially with my style, I almost had him finish at the end of the first round, almost had a Ty Kimura in the second round. So like I had a couple spots there where it was close. So I was like, well, we're right there, we're right at the edge. So let's just take him down one more time. Maybe the next one he'll give up on it. But you know what? Wonder Boy's tough. He's fought for the title twice. He didn't give up on himself. So it was one of those things too.
So at what point in the fight did you realize, like, oh yeah, this is gonna work, like the wrestling? Because we know a lot of times that first round you're trying to fill the guys out, but at what point did you realize, like, oh yeah, it's my fight and it's going wherever I want it to go?
Yeah, it was probably like the middle of the first round. Once I got my second takedown, I think there's not a lot of guys that keep up with my pace, and I know that the way I fight, the way I push it, a lot of these guys are going to break. A lot of these guys are going to get tired, and if you don't have that grappling cardio, it's different than striking cardio. We saw with Wonder Boy, he went 5 rounds with Jeff Neal, 5 rounds with Luque, and he put on a clinic with striking. But there's a difference when you're adding grappling into the mix. There's a difference with grappling cardio where you have to defend 3 or 4 takedowns. A lot of these strikers can't keep up that pace.
And so after the fight, obviously you're very active on social media, and it seemed like there were a lot of really strong reactions to your fight. Like some people think it's because Stephen Thompson, he's the nicest guy in the world, so anybody that beats him, you hate him. What's kind of going on there? Because it seems like, people are coming at you pretty aggressively.
I mean, there's always going to be haters. It's like if you don't got any haters, you're not doing it right then. For me, it's just I don't think a lot of people. I come at a lot of these guys that have big fans, big crowds. You'll see me poke at Conor McGregor. You'll see me poke at Nate Diaz. You'll see me poke at Masvidal and Colby Covington. You see a lot of them have lame loser fans that'll sit there and go hard. So it's like, to me, it's nothing. I laugh at a lot of those. And for me, it's like if you come at me with something good, I'll even give you respect for it. But if a lot of these losers will just say the dumbest things, I'll just block them.
Who's got the worst fan base? Like out of all the guys, because some of them have some pretty horrible ones. Who's got the very worst fan base?
I think Conor fans are probably the worst fan base just because they believe he's going to be champion again. They believe that he's just untouchable guy. But at some point you got to realize, all right, he's not the same Conor, so relax.
I want to talk a little bit about you and Colby, because I know at one point you said you hated the guy and stuff like that, and it seemed like that was really genuine. Because normally we don't know you as a guy like that. What's the story with you and Colby? Like, why is this a guy that you hate so much?
I just hate people that disrespect cultures. He's disrespectful to culture, disrespectful to countries, and being from Palestine, being a Muslim, like I get disrespected a lot, and I've dealt with that type of thing a lot. So like when he was coming at Brazil and when he's fighting Maya, saying all this other stuff, and even coming at Habib a lot of the time, it's like this guy always he plays it off like it's an act. But when you say stupid things, you should win stupid prizes. So like he deserves to get punched in the face for some of the stuff. Whether you can't just fake being racist, it's not like that. So like I know he wants to play on playing this character, but it's not a character. I think he really is truly like that.
At what point for you did it cross over and he go too far? Because at one point it was simply spoiling Star Wars. I think on Twitter and stuff like that, people thought it was kind of funny. And then he sort of made the switch where now even the trash talk with Masvidal, people are saying he's going way too far. At what point did he go for you, too far and went into that place where it's not really a character anymore?
I mean, I just don't think he's creative enough. I think he he looks for anything. I'm pretty sure he has a writer that's trying to give him ideas of what to say, and he's just looking for that clickbait. Even with the Usman fight, where he was talking about his dad and stupid things like that. Like even at the press conference, when you talk to him, when you ask him a random question that he's not prepared for, he'll stutter a lot and he won't know where to come up with the answer, and he'll say dumb things because it's not written down for him. He doesn't have the script in front of him, so he doesn't know what to say. So like a lot of the time, it'll just be dumb things, and I'm looking at it like you can just tell how fake this kid really is.
If you guys were to get booked in a fight against each other, obviously the buildup would get very ugly. I mean, you mentioned even the stuff you get when people aren't trying to fight you. How would you handle something like that? Because I assume that's gonna be very difficult for you and even your family watching too.
Honestly, it'd be fun for me. Like I said, I'm way more wittier than him. I'm smarter than him. So if he wants to have a war of words, I'll probably make him look real stupid. But like even when I'm talking about Khamzat and everything like that, like we're going back and forth with Twitter memes. It's fun to me. I like that type of thing. I like that interaction. It makes the fight funner. It makes it more exciting. I'm from Chicago, where all we do is trash talk, and I used to play basketball all the time, where I love that trash talk mentality and the locker room mentality. Like I don't take anything personally.
So you talked about your Twitter a little bit. I remember at one point, I think you were at 11,000 followers, and people were saying, oh, you're running it really well because, tweets are getting really funny and stuff. You're at 100,000 now. Like, at what point did your Twitter just completely blow up like that? Because we've seen you working at this consistently, and now it's paying off.
So yeah, it was a long road. It was a long, winding road where I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I mean, just show your personality, be yourself on there. Where a lot of these guys don't know how to be themselves on social media, and that's what I like about my game show too. Is where you see the competitive side of these fighters, and you'll see a different side of them. And it's because like the competitive juices are flowing now. So like you'll see a little bit trash talk. I'm like, dude, just do that on social media now. Interact with your fans better. And you're seeing it with these younger guys now that are coming up. Adrian Giannis, Jay Molina, and stuff like that, where they're starting to be more interactive with fans, and it's making it funner. It's, like I said, you have a fight one week, and then there's a new fight next week, so your fight's gonna be forgotten about right away. It's gonna be forgotten about, so you have to stay in the fans' eyes. You have to stay in the fans' minds through social media by being friendly with them, by talking on there, and those things are gonna help build up your name and build up your brand.
You mentioned the competitiveness on your show. Being that you're a Chicago guy, you know that the city had the most competitive person in the world in Michael Jordan. Who is the Michael Jordan on your show in terms of just overly competing for everything? Maybe even taking things too far, if that was a possibility.
I mean, the best show we had was the most competitive show was DC and Rashad Evans.
Yeah.
Like it was so close. It came literally down to the wire. The last question, and DC ended up pulling it out. So I think that was like the funnest show. But like we've had a bunch of great shows on there. I really like the Paul Felder and Dustin Poirier show on there. That was a really good one. Poirier was just killing him, but it was just funny. And then Aaron Bronstetter was a killer on the show. He just like he knew every answer to every question, so it was just funny with him.
Did you send DC a pair of shoes or a pair of Jordans, I should say? Did I see that correctly on social media?
Yeah, for that show we had a new sponsor, English Show, that came on, and they were like, "Yeah, we want to sponsor your show, so we want to give the winner a pair of shoes."
Wow.
So yeah, we had a couple shows where I'm trying to get like a steady sponsor where we could give the winner something to make it even more competitive. But it's just hard to find places that'll do it. But I think we got a good one with English Show because everybody loves shoes. A lot of these fighters always wear shoes, so if we get them to have a steady run of shoes to the winners, I think we'll get a good thing going.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I saw the Jordans was the prize, I was like, how do you not want to come on the show? Even if nobody knows who you are, like if you can win a pair of Jordans, I feel like everybody would want to compete in that.
Yeah, exactly. And they're fresh pair of Jordans. They're new. They're not like old fake ones. Like this is a real company. This is a big company. So yeah, I'm hoping that it'll start building up off of that.
So what's next for you, man, at this point? We mentioned fights are being booked. Not everything's official, which means there might be an opportunity for you to slip in there. What's kind of, your plan going forward? Now that you're in the top 5, you can't just fight just anybody at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the top 5, there's 4 guys above me that don't, or 4 guys above me that don't have fights. And then the only fight below me that makes sense would be Khamzat. So other than that, there's really nothing else that made sense. So I'm hoping that I get a call soon. I'm going to stay in shape, like I said, with the COVID era. There's definitely going to be a lot of pullouts, I feel. And when the opportunity calls, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be the one to answer the phone.
All right, one last question for you, kind of an easy one, or maybe depending on how you answer it. But realistically, when do you think we're going to see you fight again?
I'm thinking March or early April.
All right, well, there we go. We look forward to it. Thanks so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it. And congratulations, man. The Twitter, the top 5, everything's going really well for you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.